Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the 7th episode of the Smart Money Show. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about a topic that a lot of people deal with and a lot of people struggle with. And I'm going to give you guys my tips and tricks on how I personally deal with this topic. But before we get into this, as we all know, and I feel this topic that I'm going to be speaking about today is very, very important, specifically in this current time, because as you all know, currently we're going through war crisis. We have conflict between Russia and Ukraine, and this is causing many conflicts, and it's causing a lot of turmoil in regards to, from a social perspective, from an economic perspective, from an environmental perspective. And as you all know, it has a massive effect on in the financial markets. We can clearly see the volatility that it has. Price ranges are much bigger, etc. So simply today's topic, we're going to be talking about how to hold on to your profit. So little scenario here, you're trading for the whole week, whatever it is, you catch a nice big trade, you're up 10k, you're up 15k, you're up 20k, and what do? You end up giving your profit back to the market at the end of the day, or you end up giving your profit back to the market at the end of the week. Okay, a lot of people, they struggle with regards to just being able to keep their profits. People are struggling to hold on to their profits, and this is one of the things where I personally found it came a lot it came much more later on in my trading journey, whereas being able to kind of get rid of revenge trading, or to kind of minimize it, or to stop over leveraging, etc, these were the kind of the obstacles that I was able to, first of all, kind of fight or battle at the start of my trading journey. Whereas when it comes to euphoria, which is the big thing right here, being able to hold on to your profits, and euphoria is going to be the big killer. That's the emotion that's going to be not letting you achieve and keep those profits and stop giving those profits back to the market. Now, there's two sides of the table. There's euphoria, and then there's the side where you're very frustrated and angry, which leads to revenge trading. And that's after taking a loss. So a lot of us, we focus on from a loss perspective. We focus on the emotions that are associated with losses, frustration, sadness, anger, being upset, annoyed, blah. Whereas on the opposite side, we have euphoria. And euphoria is on the opposite side of the spectrum, where you have an elated, ecstatic sense of being. You're very happy, very proud of the trade that you potentially took. You're very confident. Dopamine levels are rising. Basically, all the good stuff, you're feeling great. And that's kind of the opposite side. And we want to make sure that we are not in any of those states. We don't want to be in any of the extremes. We want to make sure that we stay balanced, whether we take a win or whether we take a loss. Now, as I said, we're very good. Okay, everyone reaches to the point where they take so much slaps from the market. They start understanding that I have to be disciplined when I'm losing. I have to be able to just reset when I'm losing. When I see that I'm in a losing streak, I should come back the next day, whatever it is. But we forget that we need to literally apply this for when we are in states of euphoria as well, when we're very happy about a winning streak, when we're very happy about winning trade. So we need to be able to reset. And I was also looking at I was looking at the Forex funds stats. So as everyone knows, most people these days, they're trading Forex funds, they're trading FTMO. So they're basically taking prop firm challenges. And I was looking at their stats, and the stats were absolutely mind-blowing. Okay, I was looking at the stats, and you could see that I think it was like 31% of the people that took phase 1 passed. Okay, which is decent enough. And then we had phase 2, only about 5% of that. I don't know the exact numbers, to be honest with you, but it was something around this. Then it was like 5% of phase 1. The people that have passed phase 1, only 5% of those went on to the next level. Okay, and then the people that reached their first payout was 4% of that once again. So it's actually mind-blowing how much people literally, they don't actually end up keeping their profits. They get overly confident. And what is the killer there? They get overly confident. Why? Because they're in a state of euphoria. Why are they in a state of euphoria? Because they've taken one win, which is passing the phase 1. Perfect. They're ecstatic. They're very, very happy about passing phase 1. Then they pass the verification. That's phase 2. Now they're in a state of being, now they have the sense that, perfect, I smashed phase 1, I smashed phase 2, smashed it out the park. The live account is going to be absolutely simple because I should be able to do exactly what I did for the past 2 phases. And they are in that state. They don't reset. They're still in the state of euphoria because now they have the 100k account that they've been literally dreaming about. It's kind of been their goal for the past year or 2. That's what they've been working on. And they finally passed it and they finally get to that live account and then they see, whoa, I still have not reset my mindset. I'm still in that state of literally being so ecstatic that I passed this challenge, and boom, they end up literally blown it. A lot of people, even they pass the 2 challenges, they don't actually end up getting their first payout. Very, very few people actually end up getting their first payout. And euphoria is one of the biggest killers here. And that's the reason. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of tips, a couple of guidelines that I put in place for myself to follow. Because as I said, this is one of those things that up until now, I can sense myself, I can feel myself potentially falling into that state. You know, and we all fall into that state. Everyone is going to be ecstatic about a big win, whatever it is. You know, I've been trading for a decent amount of time, you know, and I've taken many wins. I've taken many losses, and still there's some big wins that I'm catching. And I fall into that state of being absolutely happy about it, especially if it's something that, you know, you're passionate about. And trading is very it's very active. It's something that's very exciting, so you're very susceptible to being able to fall into the extremes of either side, you know, being very angry or being very happy. It's very easy to fall into that state. But what you need to be able to do is realize that I am currently in this state, and you have to reflect and analyze, okay, and think to yourself, what are the things that I'm going to do now that's going to make me avoid making those mistakes, because I understand that currently I'm at an emotional extreme and I know that potentially I'm going to make this mistake, whatever it is. So these are the guidelines and these are the tips that I personally put into my trading plan, and these are the things that I simply follow. Okay, so as I was saying, one of the first things that always kind of comes to mind, euphoria is a bigger killer than revenge trading. That's something that I said at the start. I want to highlight it once again. Euphoria is a bigger killer than revenge trading. Okay, because a lot of people, as I said, they focus so much on the loss aspect, but they forget completely about the winning aspect. And the winning aspect usually comes very end of your trading journey. Why? Because, you know, at that point you've already firmed your risk management, you've already understood somewhat aspects of psychology, you've already understood your trading strategy, etc. So winning is kind of the last thing that you get in the journey, but this is one of the biggest obstacles and probably one of the last obstacles to consistency and profitability. So here are my guidelines. Okay, this is rule number 1. This is one of the things that I always look at doing after taking a big win. And that is, after your good trade, make sure that you decrease the risk of your next trade. So as everyone knows, I'm trading 0.5% risk. I know some of you are trading 0.1% risk. Some of you are trading 2% risk. Okay, I'm trading 0.5% risk. So what I do after taking a big win, which I've taken a few good decent wins this week. This week has been, you know, very beautiful for me. I think I took like 40 RR, and that's like 20% on 0.5%. Okay, so I took nearly 20% increase on my account this week. Very happy days. I took a huge win on a GPSD sell. Okay. And actually the GPSD sales have been absolutely beautiful, because you all know how it's been, you know, the DXY is just completely flying, and we've just been very capitalizing on the GBP USD sales. Okay, so it's very good for me. But going back to the point, you know, I was able to catch a huge trade, and straight away I recognized that I'm going to be in a state of ecstasy. I'm going to be in a state of euphoria, because I understand that this was a much bigger trade than usual. So potentially I could be in the risk of making one of those stupid mistakes. So what do? I decrease my risk of the upcoming trade. Okay, the next trade or the next 2 trades, whatever it is. So that's very important, because a lot of the time, when we understand when we're in an extreme emotional state, okay, when we're in an extreme emotional state, a lot of time we potentially become numb and we become paralyzed, and sometimes we even recognize we're actually doing something bad. Like in my mind, I'm like, okay, I know this could potentially be a revenge trade, or this could potentially be a trade with not that many confirmations, but I can't control myself. I still end up clicking that button. So what do? I make sure that the risk of the next trade is much, much smaller, okay, 0.25% even of my previous trade. So even if I do potentially make the mistake, at least it's going to be like, it's going to be very, very small, and it's not going to cost me a huge amount. So that's what I end up doing. I always make sure that I decrease the risk of the next trade. And that's exactly what happened with me this week. There was another trade that I took after the big trade that I took, which was like 10k. Okay, so that was like 10k profit, and I ended up taking another trade right after. That trade was okay. I mean, I followed most of my plan, but there were a few confirmations that usually I wouldn't have taken it if I was, going for my highest probable trades, and I ended up taking a loss on that trade. And the great thing about it was I had much less risk. I decreased the risk by basically half. Okay, I went 0.25%, and I ended up taking a very, very, very small loss. And straight away when I took that loss, I was able to kind of look and be like, whoa, like the realization hit me. Yo, it's time to reset. You're in the state of being too happy. You're overconfident now because you took that trade, and now you think you can take the market on. No, you're going to have to reset. You're going to have to realize that you're in that state, and that's exactly what I did. I was able to reset. Okay, which brings me on to kind of my next point, but probably even should have talked about this point even before that. After a good trade, you must stop trading for the day. Okay, stop trading for the day. And then there's another one as well. Okay, and this basically applies the exact same thing. After a good trade or winning streak, stop trading for the week. Okay, why do I say this? So a lot of the time, what you realize and notice yourself doing, like a lot of these things I'm talking to you right now, I'm speaking from absolute experience. And a lot of these things even happen to me until this day. You have to understand from a human nature, okay, our human nature, our primal instincts, we cannot stop these things. Okay, we genuinely, we cannot stop these things. A lot of people think that they can get full 100% control, full 100% discipline on their mindset. It's not possible. But what you can do is make sure that you're not falling into states of extreme states of emotion, so you can avoid that curveball. Okay, so you're able to step over that hole. Yes, we should be able to build our mindset and build our discipline in a sense that if we do fall into that hole, we can climb out. But why would I risk my peace? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to risk my state of peace. So I would rather be able to jump over that hole, avoid that hole, rather than jump into that hole and climb back out. Yes, I potentially could be strong enough to climb back out, but why? Why would I do that to myself? So that's exactly why I try to avoid the things. I try to avoid the first step that potentially might lead me into taking the series of mistakes. Okay, so that's one of the biggest things that I really try to nail down and tell a lot of my students. So going back to that point, after a good trade, stop for the week. Why would I stop for the week? So a lot of time what you'll notice is you'll be taking beautiful trades, beautiful trades. You're in a great winning streak. And then what happens is around the Friday, potentially the Thursday or the Friday, straight away you're in a losing streak, or you take a couple of bad trades. And now straight away you can feel yourself being somewhat frustrated. Okay, and that's not lying. Here's the thing, no matter how much profit we make, even if we make like 20k profit and our loss is 1k, we still feel somewhat annoyed that we lost that 1k, we gave it back to the market, and we feel the sense that we want to take that profit back. We feel like as if it's been stolen right from us. And what do you do when something's stolen from you? You chase it. That's the primal instinct straight away. You want to make sure to literally eliminate that feeling of being put down. So this is exactly why I usually say stay away and stop trading for the week, because even up until this day for myself as well, if I make, for example, 10k and I end up losing potentially 2k at the end of that week, it's very, very annoying for me. It's very, very frustrating. And straight away we get into that sense that I want to make up what I lost, what I gave back to the markets, and it then endangers my peace for that weekend. So that's one of the biggest things. I want to protect my peace for that weekend. This what we're doing here, this job, this profession, whatever you want to call it, Okay, it's very, very stressful. It's very, very tasking on your emotions. So what I want to do at least is be able to take 2 days out of the week for a break, because I know myself that if I do end up giving profits back to the market or whatever it is, I know that I am going to be somewhat frustrated, and I'm going to be thinking about that during the weekend. So that's Saturday, Sunday, the end of the Friday, and I'm looking forward to that Monday. So straight away, I just not think about the weekend anymore. I don't want to enjoy the weekend anymore. I want to think about that Monday, because I want to redeem myself, because I'm just somewhat frustrated that I lost that I basically gave back to the market what I simply made from the beautiful trades that I caught earlier on in the week. So a lot of time I will end up stopping my trading for the week or stop the trading for the day, because you don't want to put yourself, the biggest thing here, the biggest reasoning why I say this is, if you go from one state, one extreme to another extreme, it's actually much, much more difficult than going from a balanced extreme. What do I mean? Think of it as a line. Let's just think of it as a line. On one side, you have the right. Okay, you have euphoria. On the other side, you have the state of being angry after taking a loss, whatever it is. And then in the middle, this is where you're calm. This is where everything is going to plan. This is balance. You're not too much on one side. You're not too much on the other side. Going from the middle to the left, or going from the middle to the right, is actually not as bad as going from one extreme to the other extreme. So straight from the absolute left to straight to the absolute right is going to be really, really tasking on you, and it's going to leave you at risk of making stupid mistakes. What do I mean by absolute left, and what do I mean by absolute right? So we understand that when we lose, no matter what, we're still going to be somewhat annoyed, somewhat angry, especially if you made a stupid mistake, or you didn't follow your you didn't follow your trading plan, whatever it is, you're going to be somewhat annoyed. Even if the trade was perfect, but you still lost exactly what you planned, etc., you're still going to be somewhat annoyed. So we're somewhat going to that side. Okay, we're somewhat being pushed towards that sense. Now, on the opposite side is when you take a win, you're going to be happy. No matter, you might think that you can control it or whatever it is, you're still going to be somewhat happy. You're still going to be somewhat ecstatic that you won that trade. But let's say now that I took a big win, and now I'm in a state of euphoria, and straight away, an hour or 2 hours later, I end up giving half of that trade back to the market, or I end up losing somewhat of those profits and giving it back to the market. You literally jumped from one extreme to the other, and that's going to leave you much more susceptible to actually making a stupid mistake, whether it's revenge trading or getting into that sense that you want to be able to make that money that you lost back, that trade that you lost back. Even if you risked correctly, you're still going to be somewhat annoyed because you jumped from one extreme to the other, rather than ease yourself in. By easing yourself in, I mean reset. Let that good trade for the day go. Let yourself be happy for the rest of the day. Protect your peace. Stay happy, and come back at it tomorrow. By tomorrow, you're going to have had the time to reset, and now you can approach the market from a fresh, clear mind once again. Because think of it this way: if we try to capitalize too much on our happiness, too much in our state of euphoria, we're going to lose. We're going to make mistakes. On the opposite side of the spectrum, if we capitalize too much on our state of frustration, being angry at the markets, etc., we are going to lose even more. So you want to make sure that every trade that you approach is in balance. Okay, you are balanced. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that each time you stray to either the left or you stray to the right, you want to take the necessary actions, you want to take the necessary steps to bring yourself back into the middle. Middle is in the zone. That's when you're in the zone. That's when you're making the correct decisions. That's when you're making the correct choices, and you're in the correct state of emotional being. Okay, that's the place where you want to be. So me telling you, decrease the risk of the next trade, stop for the day. Once it's maybe potentially the Friday and you just took a beautiful trade, like right at the start of Friday, for example, today, I took a beautiful trade. It was like 5K, 10-hour trade. What did I do? I stopped trading after that, because even though I seen a very, very nice opportunity as well after that, I was like, it potentially could work. It potentially might not work. What I'm going to do is I'm completely going to avoid that trade. It's late in the week anyways. It's the Friday. I want to be happy with this profit. Let me at least enjoy it for the week to come, for the weekend to come. Because if I do end up making that mistake or potentially getting into that trade and that trade losing, then I'm going to be really, really annoyed at it somewhat, and I'll potentially be thinking about it for the weekend to come and trying to somewhat redeem myself for the Monday to come. So that's why I would have stopped trading for the week there, which is exactly what I did. And here's one last thing that a lot of people tend to do, which is something that you want to avoid. A lot of people, they gain confidence and they increase their position from a winning streak into a losing streak. So you have to understand your trading system, and you have to understand the probability and the win rate of your trading system. So if I understand that, after taking 100 trades, I can clearly see that I'm winning 3 out of my 7 trades, or after a win streak of 5 trades, I'm going into a losing streak, and you kind of see that pattern in your trading. A lot of people, what they do is they fall into the cycle of, once they're in a great winning streak, they start increasing their position somewhat. And then once they're in a winning streak, okay, after that winning streak, they increase their position. And once they increase their position, straight away, now they're in the cycle of losing streak. So the losing streak cycle, okay, gets the higher position, while the winning streak is at the lower lot sizes. So what does this do? It actually, one side covers the other. So the losing streak ends up covering the wins from the winning streak, from a monetary value perspective, of course. And that's what happens. And now what do you do? Because you're in a losing streak and you took big losses, if you don't end up blowing your account and you actually save yourself and you reset, what you do, because you're somewhat, you can realize that you're in a state of vulnerability right now. What do? You decrease your lot sizes. And now potentially you're in the winning streak, and the cycle continues. So what I always say is stick to one fixed rate of percentage risked. So I stick to 0.5. No matter what, I'm going to stick to 0.5. Whatever it is, I'm not going to change. Some people, they vary from 0.5 to 1% depending on the probability of their trade or depending on the confirmations. Cut that out. Just simply make life simple for yourself and just keep 1% risk. Because you don't want, sometimes you might get lucky that 1% trade is the one that ends up being the winner, and then the 0.5% trade is the one that ends up being the loser, but switch around, vice versa, what happens then? So it's something that you really, really want to, something that you really just want to cut out. It makes life much, much easier. Okay, so that is pretty much it. How to hold onto your profits. It's a very, very, very important thing. As I said, one of the things that took me quite a while to figure out at the end of my journey into being able to be consistently profitable. So one of those things that you have to figure out, and these are kind of the tips and tricks and guidelines that I personally follow in order to allow myself to get out of that state of euphoria, reset, and take the next trade from a balanced mindset. Okay, so that's pretty much it, guys. Hopefully you gained value from this episode, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Have a great day or night wherever you are. Bye bye.